you need too. So you have to empty your cup in order for anybody to, with the stuff that you have going on, to even have let something else pour into it. So navigating, a lot of times I would just pray at night or talk to myself. Sometimes I would even be upset, mad, and then my closest loved ones be looking at me like, what's her problem? She just kind of like, she irritated tonight or whatever, and not really understanding it. And I thought that I was communicating what it was that I was feeling, but they were missing it. I felt like they were missing it, or I didn't have a voice, or nobody was listening. I know I'm talking, but is anybody listening to what I'm saying? So are you listening to me, my cry, for help? Really, that's really what it was. It was a cry for help at the time. And it was like, okay, so at that time, I don't want to use the word, but this is kind of who I am. I was like, I became real gangster about being free. So if I can't get it here, I got to fight for where I can get it from. And the Lord began to navigate me to those places to be like, this is what you need. And this is how it kind of went for me. I still had to get up and go to work. I still had to be a mom. I still had to be a wife. I had to do all of those things, it was difficult. And I felt like sometimes there was just a chain dragging along with me, but I was going anyways. Yeah.
What would you say to the mom, to the wife that could be listening right now, and feeling as if she's not being heard, right? Feeling as if she's not being seen outside of being a mother or a wife?
I would say try to sit that loved one down and communicate with them on what it is that you're feeling like. If you can't get through to them, then you probably need to seek out other services for someone else that can help you navigate through that situation. I would like them to know that they're not alone. This is a fate to the women thou art loose. And I think I was kind of sharing this with Joy a little bit, and I don't know if it was you or Joy, but one of the ladies, they was kind of having a forum kind of like this one too, and she was like, prayer is a tool, but therapy is a strategy. And I needed to learn how to strategize with the feelings and emotions that I was having. So that's one of the things I would say to that mom.
Absolutely. Talk to me, or share with everyone what you noticed, right? Even as you were, connecting and noticing, like, okay, this is how I'm thinking or feeling about what I'm experiencing, and being challenged, even in our relationship.
I don't know if I caught that question.
So just share with them some of the times where you felt challenged, where you came in with a belief or a thinking, a thought process about what you was experiencing, and how you may have been challenged.
A lot of times, one of the circumstances that I can kind of think about was I felt like I was in a situation where, because a lot of times you have to choose the right thing to do, but I feel like the other person was pushing the boundary of how I was feeling. I felt like my kindness was being taken for granted. I guess that's what I would say. And I wanted to strike back, but it was like it wasn't the right thing to do. Then I started talking. I think one of them circumstances, I think I said some things that I probably shouldn't have been saying. And I'm not going to say I probably shouldn't have been saying. I'm going to say I could have handled it a little bit better is what I would say. And I struggled with that because at that same time, I was pushing to be heard. So at that point, I'm like, y'all going to hear me. And it was by any means necessary at that time. So I had to learn the balance of kind of drawing back, like, okay, now you're tripping, like you might be tripping a little bit, and getting a balance of the emotions that I had on the inside.
Right. No, that's good. As you were talking, I keep hearing the word break. I keep hearing the word breaking, right? Breaking. When we're talking about, breaking free from our past, that's not a pretty thing. You know what I'm saying? I mean, some stuff, is going to be hard, right? It's like a push. It's something is shattering. You know what I'm saying? And you got to begin to identify What is that thing that needs to shatter in my life in order for me to be free? What belief system? What thought process? You know, because I never teach people how to manage or control other people. I teach them how to manage and control themselves. I don't teach people how to manipulate. I teach people how not to be manipulated. And so one of the things I realized in my own healing is that I had to take responsibility for it. I couldn't blame my family.
That's right.
I couldn't blame, you know, all these other people. And so as you were talking, I'm like, wait, this thing, you know what I'm saying? Like it wasn't easy.
Yeah.
You know, and I need us to be able to get that point across to those. Somebody is sitting there and they may be, you know, crying. They may feel like, you know, they're all alone. Nobody really understands them. I need them to understand that's part of the process. You know, that's part of the process. Healing don't just come easy. You know what I'm saying? You know how when you break your leg or, you know, you break something, they got to re-break it, you know, to get it to the heal correctly. And that's that thing. So when you're talking about breaking, go a little deeper.
Well, one analogy that comes up for me, we watch a lot of movies, right? So if you ever think about somebody that's locked up in a dungeon, they're often chained to the wall. And they're trying to find their way on how to become free. So they start looking around, whatever is in their and sometimes they can't. So they just start, you know, either hitting their leg up against the wall. But what I'm trying to get them to, the point I'm trying to make is like the force that it was going to take to get that chain out of the wall. Sometimes even breaking free, you might lose that limb. So you got to kind of decide whether or not is my hand enough for me to hold on to, or should I break myself? Should it all go? So that's what I want to kind of get you to understand. Like it's a fight when it comes to breaking free, you know, and it's a mind. You got to change your thought process in the midst of it all as well. You know, like I'm broken. You see what I'm trying to say? So I need to put these pieces back together. And if you really want to put those pieces back together, you get down with that glass and you start trying to put those pieces back together. But you're cutting your hand, your knees is scraped up, you know. So that's how you kind of, you're going to walk away with some wounds, but you got to know that the wounds heal themselves, you know, once you get free. Yeah.
I love that. I love that. Any questions? Any questions? What's coming up for you? Any questions on, just want to make sure. But I love that. Because even as you were talking, it took me back. Because not only did you say we're behind bars, right? But then she said it's some chains. Yeah, I'm trying to keep myself together, right? She said it's some chains. You know what I'm saying right there, right? So it's one thing for somebody to come and unlock the gate for you, right? It's a whole nother thing when you got some stuff, oh my God, when you got some stuff that's chaining you, right? And some of the things that can keep us bound is those childhood issues that we haven't dealt with. Those things, you know what I'm saying, that cause us to say, what's wrong with me? I'm not good enough. Because I need y'all to really understand, when we go through trauma, when we go through some things, it gets stuck in a part of our brain that has no sense of time nor words. So that's why if she ever thought that she wasn't good enough, she came along and she met me and I overlooked her. The initial thing is going to trigger that thought, I'm not good enough. These happen in relationships, you know, on jobs. And so it's not necessarily the person as much as it is the experience and the thing that it triggered. And so you have to really pay attention when we're unshackling ourselves and we breaking free. You know, we have to really pay attention to what is that thing that I'm holding on to that has me looking at me different.
I think it was the issues that I felt like of abandonment of some sort. And in the process of it, it was like, I remember a time, and it was really a false belief as the situation, but my grandfather was supposed to pick me up from school, right? And somebody forgot me on that step. Now, I don't know who was accountability it was, but they left me out there and nobody came, right? So it just happened to be a lady that was a janitor. They're cleaning the building. Now I know my mama done said for me because I can't see that Shirley gonna leave me at the doorstep now. You know, I don't know what was going on. I can't remember what was going on at the time, but in my healing process, that's kind of where it started for me because mama didn't really let us go anywhere. Like, so it was like, okay, I carried that for a long time. Like, they left me where it started. She's like, where it started? So, you know, I was on the step, you know, left, and I'm trying to figure out, like, why in the world would they leave this little 5-year-old, 6-year-old little girl? And this is how I knew it was an issue because I can still remember it today. Like, it was like, okay, and I'm like, he finally pulled up probably after she done called him, like, where my daughter at? And I'm like, and after that, it was just like, whatever seemed like you was want, like you didn't see, like I didn't, you know, it just kind of started happening. Like, okay, you weren't there, so like, and at the same time though, I'm not really caring if you was there. So how does that go together? You know, I'm carrying this space like, I don't need you, for real. You know, I don't need you to ever be there for me. I don't need this, I don't need that, because I'm guarding you getting too close. So that's how that's happening. So that I don't have to feel that same pain that I felt once before on you leaving. Because listen, I'm only gonna let you get so far in because I remember somebody asked me that question like, how do you bounce back from stuff? I'm thinking like, well, here I go, like, you know, the Lord, and he does let you bounce back from certain situations. But the reality of it was, it's like you was only getting so close because I was guarding that emotion of the abandonment, the issues that was down on the inside. And then of course different things happened along the way. That was just one of them that I can recall where it kind of started for me. And it was a false belief that everybody, you know, like nobody left me there on purpose, but I felt left there. Yeah, so.
Yeah, yeah. Can y'all relate to that? Can y'all relate to that? Go ahead. Go ahead.
Somebody asks, how about broken confidence?
I don't know. My confidence ain't. Listen, I can always kept my confidence. Like what?
So, is there a question, or they just said, how about broken confidence? Okay, so when we're talking about broken confidence, right? Usually it comes from us being rejected, you know, and it goes back to what we're telling ourselves at the end of the day. You know what I'm saying? It goes back to what we're telling ourselves. And so if I didn't get the job, I'm saying I wasn't good enough instead of realizing that's just not where I was supposed to be. You know what I'm saying? Those reason people, and then when they do leave, we begin to personalize things and begin to say, what's wrong with me? And so how do we fix that? It's the same thing. You know, you got to first acknowledge it. You got to first acknowledge what's actually going on with you. And then you got to want to change. You got to want to heal. And you got to be willing to go to someone. We have a coach here. You know what I'm saying? You got to be willing to go beyond your four walls and the people that you say you trust. And a lot of times, I'm not sure in your family, but we've been told what happens here or what goes on here stays here. But unfortunately, there's nobody here that can heal me. Right? So now you telling me to just leave it here. So now what you're telling me is to just accept, you know, the fact that I'm broke. And I promise y'all, my mom and dad was both murdered when I was younger. And so I was raised in a drug-infested environment. And I thought that I wasn't able to be successful. I thought that. I ended up being like the people that I was raised around. I was in prison in a different country. It was then, though, that I realized, okay, no. I had to break. So when you said about the chains, I was like, oh, see, they don't really understand about the chains. You know what I'm saying? Because I had to want it and be so desperate that I was willing to press past any belief. And I realized my family lied to me, not intentionally. They just shared what they knew.
And that's what I would say, like a strategy of rebuilding your confidence is speaking positive affirmations to yourself, because it's a belief. Somebody has said something to you that has made you feel less than. You're not pretty enough. You're not qualified enough. That's when you begin to look in the mirror and denounce those things that they put. So you have to, again, the whole strategy of dumping out the old or the negative so that you can put something positive back in. So when you begin to put something positive back in, those things begin to diminish. And I was taught, like, whatever it is that you feed, it becomes bigger. So if it's a negative thought, that's the only thing that I know about myself is what you said to me. When I began to speak to myself and speak those things as not as though they were, that's what that scripture means when it kind of says that, not to be getting all spiritual about it, but it's a real live situation. It's power. It's life and death and the power of the tongue, right? So what you say to yourself, what you allow somebody else to say to you, what they penetrate a portion of you. So you got to be like, I am not what you said to me. You know, I am not what you said to me. I am this, or I am that. If it's a broken marriage or whatever the circumstances may be, and you be like, they have made you feel like you can't move on and they the only one to ever love you. The devil is a lie. Okay? It's a lie. Now, we don't just say jump into nothing else, but love yourself first. This is what I say. Any type of situation, and that's what I had to learn in the process. Being okay with Marisha.
Yes.
So whoever and whatever, whether it was a business relationship, a relationship, come along, you're adding to me. So if you're adding to me, you definitely can't take nothing away from me because it's already there. And it's not like you being, what's the word I'm looking for, like you conceited in a way. You're just being confident in who it is that you know that you were made to be. So that's how you have to deal with that situation when you're speaking about confidence. Begin to denounce the things that people have said. Now, if you need some help, you get in front of somebody and sit down and let them help walk you through that. But if you want to start pinning notes on the mirror and talking to yourself, you ain't got to do that nowadays in the phone. You know, have a positive affirmation of who you are every day. And if not, if you that good, write your own.
Right.
To be honest with you. Yeah.
Absolutely. And you got to be willing, y'all. You got to be willing.
Yeah.
You know, last week's show with Kavan, she talked about being accountable for your healing. You know, we talking about a woman who lost, you know, woke up from an accident and had to bury both of her boys, you know, and she had to be accountable for her healing. And so again, and coming back now and saying breaking free, you know, from your past, it's a decision. You know, it's a decision. Nobody is coming to give you confidence. You got to take it, you know, and let's not look at confidence as this, because this is just a mask. You know what I'm saying? I mean, people can, you know, dress up, they can do all this stuff and still not feel good about themselves. You know, and that's one of the things I was saying to you when you were saying, like, okay, why don't nobody see me? Or, you know, they look over me. I'm like, well, hell, you look like you got it together. You know what I'm saying? You can't get mad at me because you showed up strong and then mad because I didn't play you like you was weak. You know what I'm saying? Like, she coming.
She did. She said that, and I'm like, that made me think like everybody else must saw me like that. But I think it was like the people that were closest to me. I'm like, everybody don't get a chance to always just see this. Like, who sees the real Marisha, you know, when she's sad or when she's crying, you know what I mean? So that's kind of how we came up with, like, with Real Life with the Raymonds, or even the name Leveling Up. I'm like, the Lord was like, I need to teach you how to level up so you can teach others how to level up in themselves, you know? Look, and it was starting with you change, you know? So I'm like, okay, this flow good together, you know? So that's how it kind of went, you know?
But that takes me back, right? Because I'm not sure. You may think you did, but I'm not sure. Your husband and your daughter is here. I'm not sure if mom let y'all know she was weak.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? I don't know. Because listen, even at home, right, it seemed like I still had it together. It took a lot for me to cry. You know, so then when they didn't see that I was human, I thought they should just know I'm human. You know what I'm saying? But it would create some conflict because I wasn't just open. You know what I'm saying? What do you think? Do you feel like, give him the mic? You got the mic? Here, pass him. Because what I want to know is if your wife allowed you to see that she was weak, or could you see her without her going off? No.
I,
For real.
like I could see that there's something going on to where I'm like asking her, babe, are you all right? What's wrong? You know what I'm saying? But then at time when I ask her, she'd be like, ain't nothing wrong, nothing. And I'm like, then sometimes she'd be like, well, I don't told you, it don't make sense me even saying nothing. You know what I'm saying? So then it's like, okay, well I guess ain't nothing wrong with you then. I'm going.
Right.
Yeah, that's just the way it is. Because she seems like a lot of people look at her and she seems like she's strong. She's a strong woman where she don't need nobody. She don't need nobody help, nobody talking. But I think we all need somebody to talk to at the end of the day. So
Absolutely. But it go back to the defense. I need y'all to see the defense, right? When you said, you was like, okay, ain't nobody, basically ain't nobody else leaving me. You know what I'm saying? That abandonment, that rejection. And so now it's like, okay, I'm good. So if you leave, I'm good. You know what I'm saying? And then again, when you sit back and like, okay, wait, I'm not good. But why don't y'all notice?
And I think I was talking to Quavan. We was at this thing, and she was like, you need to make sure that you're communicating properly to those that you want to understand how it is that you feel it at the time. So in my mind, I feel like I thought that's what I was doing. You know, making sure. She was like, no, get a little deeper with it. And I'm like, okay, well, deep, you don't have, you know, but that was one of the things that kind of stuck. And when I say nothing, it's almost like, and I'd be like, now I done told you, I thought in my mind I did, you know, because a lot of times I would think that I would tell them or people how it is I would feel. But I think my perception of, like you said, you should kind of know in my mind, that's how I would feel about that entire situation. Diamond, who would you say? What would you, like the
I would say I know when it's something wrong with you. I could. It's like a thing. I can read her mind when something is wrong. She won't say it though. So I can just feel whatever is on her. I can feel it. So I just be like, well, what's wrong with you? Cause I'm feeling it. So whatever she feeling like, I'ma feel it. So I'm like, you sure ain't nothing wrong with you? And it take her a minute to open up, but definitely feel what she be feeling sometimes.
and sometimes it's the weight of others. You know, trying to balance the weight of others and your stuff. You know what I mean? You're like, okay, now this is somebody else's stuff now. So, but learning to put those things, and that's a lot of times what I tell the clients that I see, learning to put those things in the proper box that they belong in, you know, or not taking work home, you know, because a lot of times I used to carry my families home, and I'm like, you know what? I did give them some accountability, and that's when the Lord was like, they do what you let them do. People treat you how you let them treat you. And it wasn't like they were just treating me like entirely wrong. It was like, some of this stuff is your responsibility, you know. But when I gave them the responsibility, I became free because I didn't have to carry it no more. And then it was really small stuff like on time or whatever it was. And I'm like, it was just like, then that's when I would start getting this false belief in my mind, like, they must don't respect me. They must don't really know who I am. Like, you showing up 15, 30 minutes late, you don't respect my time now, you know? And it's not even time was money. It was like I started developing, then I'm mad. You know, now I'm mad, you know, by the 5th time, but I let you get to number 5. And not that I'm saying that grace should not abound. I'm saying, hold on a minute, you know, this supposed to be this. So you need to tell this person that. Now, when I get done talking, that's going to be it. Now, like, you got a couple choices. Now, we either ain't going to rock together, you know, but I need to create a space to where it's okay for everyone.
I love that. Because I want y'all to understand a lot of times we're suffering because of what we tell ourselves. And often when I tell people that, it don't register, right? Because we believe that it's other people that actually affects us, but it's not. It's what we think about what other people has done that affects us. And so one thing I realize is that I may not can change you, but I can change how I think about you. And if I want to change how I feel about you, I'm going to change how I think about you, right? Because it's our thoughts that guide us. And a lot of times those thoughts are formed from past childhood experiences in our environment. That's why it's very important too to make sure you're surrounding yourself with people who will build you up. Don't go where you're tolerated. Go where you're celebrated. You got to be around people when we're talking about building confidence. People that will build you up. Because if you're around people who's just around you to be around you, but they really don't care about you, right? It's going to mess with you.
And then it comes back to honesty. Honesty with myself and honesty with the people that's around me. I don't know if I want to say you don't love me because you don't tell me the truth, but I'm just saying, like, come on now. You see me slipping in the hole, but you just gonna let me go there because you trying to be my friend or you trying to be close? No. If you're slipping, I need to tell you you're slipping if I love you. You know what I'm saying? So that's big, the accountability, like you said, of the people that's around you. Tell me that my tag is sticking out on my eyebrow, one is higher than the other. However you want to see it,
Right.
I'm putting lightness on it right now,
Right.
but I'm being honest.
Yeah.
You know, if I'm not feeling strong today and I'm saying, sister, and I see that, we need to deal with that.
But watch this. Here's the twist. Because we teach people how to treat us. So if when I try to share some stuff with you and you get offended, the next time I'm going to let you be. You see what I'm saying? Because we teach people how to treat us. So if I tell you, if my husband say something to me, you know what I'm saying, and I snap, right? Guess what I taught my husband? Don't say nothing to me. Not about a tag, not about a shoelace. Don't say nothing to me. So we got to make sure, right, we understand the role, you know, that we're playing. But we definitely want people in our lives that it's mutual. You know what I'm saying? And when I tell you something, because it's funny, it's so funny because we will be together and as a therapist, as a coach, so some people come into my office, I have to assess, is this coaching or is this therapy, right? And it was times I was like, she ain't gonna like this.
But you know what though? I respected it though. You know, because a lot of people don't just tell me. You know what I'm trying to say? Like they don't, I don't know, like I'm like, I ain't scary or nothing, you know? But I'm like, I needed someone to be like that because I know I'm like that with others. So it didn't bother me that you would say it. I'm like, okay, I needed you to say it. You know, it was part of my healing to say, now, some of the stuff you still do rubs me the wrong way. Because I be like, you know what, but okay. And I'm like, but when I looked at it like, it's like she's pushing me to my greatness. You see what I'm trying to say? So if you pushing me and I'm like, I hope I ain't backlashing, but if I am, you know what I'm trying to say? Of course, I'm going to feel some kind of way, but I'm like, that's small. You got to brush that off and keep going. So when you're looking at building the confidence of others and trying to bring them up, only the strong survive. Like for real, I mean, I'm going to agree to disagree with you if I can to say I would prefer that. Now, do we have to be sensitive to one? Yes. But you might just, and I be asking the Lord that all the time, like, okay, am I too real? Like, do I need to pull it back a little bit? Or do I need to just tell him? And I remember my cousin was like, you just wrong. And I'm thinking like, well, I don't know if that's good or bad. But it's what it is. Because somebody needs to tell you. And so somebody, and we all need that somebody in life. Like somebody telling, and it's absolutely true. When a person says something that you don't like, you gotta go back and deal with those feelings on the inside. And I talk to myself and I answer back. Like she said, but I gotta process which part of that is the truth though. Because either I'm gonna let whatever the person said bound me up, or I'm gonna take what it is that I need to take with me, shake off the rest, and keep on going. And then if it's supposed to stick with me, somebody else is gonna come and water it. I'm kind of like my bishop now. The seed is planted, somebody gonna water that thing. So I'm just like, okay, and they'll come and say it again, and then they be like, "Mhm."
And so, and I agree in the aspect of our delivery. And the reason why I say that is because I was in a place where I just gave it to you raw. And I had to realize, do I want to be right or do I want to be effective? And I'm like that with my kids. I can be right, but because of my delivery, I wasn't effective. And so I have to look at that. But as a therapist, as a coach, I have to really be sensitive to know, to love you enough to recognize your weakness, but also focus enough to understand why you came to me. You know, because if you come to me and you leave the same, I didn't do my job. And I allowed your appearance to get me off focus, right? And but that's where that confidence come in at as well. Because once you understand who you are and confident in who you are, you're not looking for validation for anybody else. Because at the end of the day, if you come to me, that's the beauty, that's the thing I love about coaching in private practice. Because when people come into my office, they're coming because they believe I can help them. You're not going to come to me and believe I can help you and then tell me how to help you. You know, I mean, and that's the thing, right? But again, that's that confidence, you know, and I see it on you. I see it on you. And I think the thing with you, right, is that with that, it seemed like it came with a lot of responsibility, which can also hinder you from like just being, you know, kind of free in the beginning, you know.
I thought I was free. Until we kept having sessions. So, but I knew that I was right where God wanted me to be. I knew, like, you know, and he had confirmed it too. You know, so that's what he kind of does in a situation. Like when you have something going on, and he'll make sure that you understand, like, this me. And then sometimes you don't want to, you know, do all that, but it's part of being free. I needed to be free to get to where God was trying to take me. And I think one of the things that the strategies and analogies she gave me, she was like, well, you either under a problem, and I still carried that, and I think I even said to somebody, there's a time where you're underneath the problem. Then there's a time that you rise on the side of the problem, and then there's a time you rise above the problem. And I think that is what kind of stayed with me in my healing process of breaking free. Because my determination was I wasn't going to stay under no problem that I knew I had a problem with, you know. But I didn't know how to get to the side of the problem, but I knew I needed to be in the seat in order to get there. And so then when I began to upchuck some of the things that was happening, I was breaking free. So now I can move. So if you think about baggage or chains or being bound, they stunt your growth. They stop you from moving. You can't move swiftly. You can't move at all. You know, so now you're trying to pull all this stuff along. So I understood when she was like, well, shoot, this problem got you. You know, and I'm like, yeah, it do. But even in the midst of being honest, she was like, but you're going to rise above it. Okay, how? A lot of times she wouldn't even say nothing coming in, but that was okay too, you know. But one of the things I think was one of the funny, she was like, girl, I'm so tired, glad you're getting tired of yourself. And that was funny. She was like, then, because what that meant was that I was able to move me out the way in order for the process to begin. You know, so, but
Talk to us about like mental health, right? And was it a stigma? You know, did it seem like, okay, I must be crazy to go seek counseling? Or was you even thinking like I'm about to go seek counseling? What was that process like?
I was taught wrong, I believe. it is a stigma on mental health and you needing to sit down and talk to someone. You know, a lot of people look at therapy like it's the chair. You're leaning back on the chair and the counselor just taking notes and nobody's saying anything. Now, some of that is kind of true in the field, you know. But you got to get the right match, I guess I would say, when you're seeking help. Somebody that fits what it is that you need. Um, the stigma also on it was is that mental health doesn't actually mean you have a deep diagnosis of something. You know, if we are dealing with something that is a medical condition, let's kind of deal with that thing, you know. But you don't want to be on paper or you don't want to have a paper trail, you know, but you're suffering in silence. And who cares? I mean, I don't know who even reading the paperwork besides you anyways, you know, or whoever the counselor is at that moment and the insurance that's paying it. But that was a stigma for us. And the bad thing is more so in the brown people, I would say, that we are afraid, or we were taught nobody needs therapy. You know, like you said, what goes on in my house, stay in my house. And if you tell the secret things of the family, you're trying to protect the other person, but you're suffering. You see?
Any questions? Any questions or comments? Yes.
Yeah, it really hit me too. This is when I was at the women's.org. She said prayer is a tool. So if you even think about a house and how it's built, you know, they use tools, the nails, you know, you have a hammer. It's the tool you need to build your house, per se. But it doesn't speak to the strategy of how you're going to run your house or who's going to live in your house or what part of your life. You know, it's just it's a house. But prayer is the tool that you need to get through every day. You know, the strategy, sometimes God will speak to you in your secret places. But a lot of us sometimes got to develop that relationship to even understand that portion of it. So the strategies are the A through Z. How do I get from A to Z? You know, if I figure out I'm depressed, how do I become free from that? What is the steps that I need to take? The strategy of becoming free. How do I start? Where do I go? Who do I call? What's the best fit? Those are strategies. Prayer is the tool.
Yeah, I like that. I like that too. One of the things I said to my husband the other day, I said, okay, we're praying, right? We're praying about something. And we're believing that God is going to open the door. But if it's something that we didn't do, right, we'll be blaming God that he didn't come through. But it's some things that we didn't do, you know. And so sometimes you need to sit back and then get that strategy. Let me look, what didn't I do? Because a lot of times, see, it's prayer and working, right? We're gonna watch and pray, right? But we're gonna work, right? And so that's the thing, making sure we sit back and say, okay, wait, hold on. How do I address this? You know, I've had people who've been in church 30 years and they come to counseling and realize they wasn't free. You know, they was in church. They know protocol, all that. You know what I mean? But they wasn't free because they never really dealt with the stuff that was keeping them bound. They just moved over it. Kind of moved, you know, and that's the thing. So it's a lot of things that we've experienced in our past, and we went to church. That's why you can go to church and it can still be messy. You know what I'm saying? Because there's some things that we're carrying in the church that we haven't dealt with. See, when we're talking about breaking free, we got to break free past that, you know, a lot of those deep-rooted things.
Now they're thinking about the commercial. And they be like, I know we've all heard of free. That's how you should get up every day. I'm free. Even at the daycare, there's Gracie's Corner. This is kind of off subjects. But she sings a song that is like so powerful to me when I'm dancing every morning. And she say, today is going to be a good day. And what else is a part of the morning? and she's singing this, and she says nothing's gonna, and she, you know, she dancing, so, and she's saying, good morning, you know, today is gonna be a good day, and then she's not gonna let anything get in her way. So, this even is an affirmation that you're speaking to yourself when you wake up in the morning. Now, we didn't say that a storm can't come in today now, but we was gonna say today is still gonna be a good day. And even if something happens, I'm going to look at it like it is perfect, even if it looks bad. Yeah.
That's right. He's saying today is going to be a good day, right? But then teaching me the strategy. What do I do when someone cut in front of me? What do I do when someone cuts me out? You know what I'm saying? I can declare today is going to be a good day, but what I can't declare is nobody is going to come and try to irritate me. You see what I'm saying? So I need the strategy to navigate through, you know, those times. So, good. Any other questions? Any other questions? Who in the audience, when you think about, and you don't have to get personal, but when you think about what you've experienced, what do you feel is the hardest thing for you that would help, that would prevent you from breaking free? That would prevent you from breaking free. Or maybe it was something in the past that you felt was hard, or that was going to prevent you, and now you're free. Of course, Estrella, you want to share? No, I'm just come on, anybody. Don't be silent. So we all free. By the show of hands, we got. Okay.
Right.
Say, I'm sorry. Can you come in, please, sir? I know, right? Yeah, go ahead. Okay. Thinking that you can handle it. Okay. That's good. That's good. Who else? Who else? Was there times that you thought you could handle something that broke you?
Yes, definitely. Definitely. And Lord, I realized that I was going to be okay after the breaking. But, you know, I did think I can handle it. But, you know, I had to go through the strategy and process everything.
By the time people come to me, they done exhausted all their resources.
Yep, they're broken already.
Yep. Everything that they thought or they was used to working, by the time they get to me, they're like, okay, I can't do it no more. I act like it didn't bother me. You know what I'm saying? I tried to drink it away. I tried to smoke it away. They done exhausted all their resources by the time they get to me. You know, and it's like, okay, watch this. You were fighting the battle with wrong weapons, right? Because you were too busy trying to change them. You was too busy trying to change the circumstances. But I promise y'all, before my change happened, my perception changed first. Once my perception about a thing changed, then everything else fell in line. Because I told y'all I was in prison.
Mm-hmm.
I was free while I was in prison.
Yeah.
I promise y'all. Because I was locked behind bars in my mind.
Yep.
And a lot of times, the breaking free is the breaking free in the mind.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because I don't think nobody owe me nothing. People
Yeah.
don't have to be nice to us. So when they are nice, it's like, okay, good, you know. But I don't hold people to it. I treat people based on who I am, not based on who you are. Me and my husband, I want to share this story. Me and my husband was at a restaurant the other day, right? It was a hibachi restaurant. So me and my husband, my aunt, and then it was another family. So the guy asked my husband, he was like, that's your lady? So my husband like, that's my wife. Watch this. Because I've been teaching my husband. I'm telling you, I've been teaching him. The formula works. I don't care how, you know, who you are. The formula works. So he asked him again, that's your lady? So I'm like, I'm his wife, dude. You know what I'm saying? I'm his wife. I said, no, you done asked him 3 times, am I his lady? I'm his wife. So then he looked at my husband. He was like, well, I can't stop looking at her titties. Watch. So I'm like, oh, okay. So his wife nudging him, and I'm like, it's cool. I'm more embarrassed for you,
Okay.
right? Because watch this. But we leave, right? So my husband says, I must really have grown. Because there was a time I probably would have knocked. And I said, listen, babe. So I said, listen, babe, I need you to understand. His behavior showed me who he was,
Yeah.
right? Your behavior would show me who you are.
Yeah.
So if me and you were somewhere and you told another woman, a man's wife, that you couldn't stop looking at her titties, I would be looking at you like you got a problem.
Like your behavior.
That's that woman's husband. So if she felt cool with it, they had nothing to do with us, because guess what? We finished eating, we walked home. I mean, we got to our car and we was good. He could have punched the dude, you know what I'm saying? We rumbling in the restaurant, you know what I'm saying? All kind of stuff could have happened. But I shared that to help you see. We have no control over other people's behavior, because other people's behavior just show you who they are. My behavior show me who I am. So me being nice to you have really little to do with you. It's who I am.
Yeah.
So I have no, I'm not upset when you cuss me out, because you just showed me who you are.
Yeah.
And I'm okay with that. I've learned to let people be who they are. Our problem is we're trying to change people.
Yeah.
Let people be who they are. Mind your business.
Right.
Can y'all imagine that? I mean, literally, that's a true story. He said, I just can't stop looking at her titties. Do I have titties? Yep. Could he stop looking? He said, that's his truth.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, so I was happy that my husband got the formula.
Got the formula.
He got the formula. Because I wasn't about to let no stranger, and I was grateful he didn't let no stranger mess up our night.
And that's good right there.
Mhm.
Like taking control of your atmosphere and not letting someone else's action. And it's funny because I used to tell my husband that the same thing. Now I don't have that story, but you don't be so upset about what somebody else is doing. Control what you have going on, and taking control of who you are. That's yeah. And that takes strength though. So let's not get it twisted.
Look at it. He said, I still ain't there.
We still praying and strategizing. We're praying and strategizing, but it takes strength, yeah. Because at the end of the day, like you said, that man that left, and then, you at home, you argue with your blood pressure up, and you like, you may never see that person again. So it goes back to, again, the mindset of everything, how you see a certain situation. Yeah.
And stepping out and being willing to trust, y'all. You got to trust somebody, right? You have to trust somebody if you want to break free from your past. Because if we can do it on our own, we would have been did it. You know what I'm saying? And it don't have to take you going to prison. You hurting somebody, for you to get it. You getting a divorce, you being at odds with your family. It shouldn't take that. Right? It's like, you know what? When you recognize that there's a problem, I'm saying reach out and seek help, because there's also a solution. There's also a solution. I want to thank you.
Thank you.
Like, you so awesome.
No, you awesome.
No, you like you dope, man.
She dope. I think she the dopest though, but
Seriously, thank you. Thank you for real. For coming, being vulnerable, being transparent, sharing your story, for being available. You know what I'm saying? Being available. It's people, and I always say this, everybody is not going to listen to LaShawna. And the fact that you made yourself available today, I appreciate it. Because I don't know who's going to watch it, who's watching now. Someone who can be sitting there feeling hopeless, feeling like their past is affecting their present. And I thank you that you allowed yourself to be available. Yeah, thank you. Can we give her a round of applause? Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And so any last minute questions or comments? We're good. Are we still on the air? He talking about keep flowing. He always do that. Any questions? Go ahead.
see now I done went out the door with my thought process, but I didn't come back. Oh, that's what I was gonna say. As being part of the strategy, learning to forgive. Now that was one for me too. Now, forgiving doesn't mean I forgot what you did. Okay? And it doesn't mean that I have to keep putting myself in a position for you to continue to do what you're doing either. But understand the act of forgiveness. I forgive you for what happened because me forgiving you is really freeing me. And that's what we have to kind of understand when God speaks about forgiveness, or when we learn to forgive someone else. We're releasing the shackles off of our very own feet first. They might not even be thinking about what happened. You know, they're moving on, you bound still. So free yourself. Learn how to do that with forgiveness. So that was one of the things that kind of came up in my heart, to make sure that you understand. And like you said, see the person. Now, you know, a lot of times they kind of go back and forth and be like, if a person show you who they are, believe them. That's kind of tricky. Because they could be in a process of becoming free, and while they're bound, their actions showed one thing. Kind of talking back to, thinking about Rashana's segment when she was talking about, what she call it, a twisted situation? Girl, that was good.
Ron Shay.
I've been calling her Rashana for about 30 years now. But
to survive.
yes, to where she had to forgive the situation, but she didn't abort the process in between. So, and then even thinking about back to that Judah situation that you was talking about, how just see a person, how God, that was my hardest thing too. Like seeing a person through the process is what I'm basically getting at. Because we all still are growing. We all still learning, you know.
I love your foundation. You know, because even when Marisha runs out, you still have this belief, your faith, you know, runs in, right? And so you say a lot about God, you know, and the Word, which is, again, switching over from what we may have been taught when we were younger to finding other ways of looking at this thing called life. You know, so I really appreciate that.
And I had to balance that, because I would be telling Debbie, he'd be telling me to pray about it, and I would not be saying that I didn't want to pray about it, but I needed to talk about it. And then I think I would become upset with, I don't even want to say the church, people is who I would say, because the church is the building, it's the people that's in it. That would be like, okay, you want me to just pray about everything. I should. So don't take that back to my bishop talking about I said we shouldn't pray. That is not what I'm saying. But I need to talk about it. In my prayer closet, I am talking to the Lord, and he hears me. But me praying about it, and I'll never come to you and be like, Jasmine, you offended me. And such and such, such and such. The Bible tells me to go to my brother, but you done got so heavenly that you done forgot the scripture. Or even in that, how can we just deal with common sense that he has given us? Like at the end of the day, like we forget that, I think. So you offended me. Yes, some things I should pray about if it's out of control, but I need to come talk to you because I might have missed something. She missed something. She like, girl, I didn't know you had this. These is your problems. But she didn't know. Now what if I would have went back and just been all upset about the fact that your staff didn't give me no paper? It had got in the way of the process, is my point. It had got in the way of what God was trying to do at the end of the day. So that's what I'm saying in the midst of that. Yeah.
And so when we're talking about, again, so we don't belabor the night and the time, when we're talking about breaking the stigma, this is why we're coming on, right? So real live, everyday people can share some of the things that they've been through and how they didn't mind getting help. Because when you're desperate, you know, when you're tired, you know, when you're at your wit's end, you know, you have a choice to make. You're either going to seek help, you're going to figure it out, or you're going to stay stuck. You know, and it's about, okay, how do I move from where I am to where I see myself going? How do I heal? Whatever that is. It can be a relationship. It can be business. In anything, you realize and wait, I gotta break free from this. And what mental bondage am I in that's hindering me from breaking free? Okay. Anything else? What?
And it normally starts by yourself, believe it or not, the mental portion of it. You're alone by yourself, with yourself, fighting with your thoughts by yourself. So,
And look, we keep bouncing back.
No,
But
no.
because here's the thing, right? Yeah. And so, I just got distracted because my people out there. no, I know it's time to go. And Gerard in the back talking about some rolling, keep
going.
rolling. No. Do they have any questions, Gerard? Okay, they're just watching. Okay. Okay. All right, y'all. If y'all have any questions, let us know. We'll get them in the comments. But listen, dang, I missed it. Oh. All right. So, this is the process. Because when my change happened, I didn't have a therapist, right? But I had God, right? But this is how it worked. I had to look at my behavior, and whether it was gossiping, cussing, or whatever. And I said, I don't want to do this. So what I would do is the same way you'll hear people talking about fasting food, I would fast gossiping. Because it was hard for me to tell the people don't talk to me. So I would be like, I'm fasting. You know, and so it's some things that as you begin to look at yourself in the mirror, just going off of you saying like we're accountable, right? And just it started with us. And there was some things I didn't like about me that I was like, okay, wait, you got to change this. And I unfortunately didn't have nobody who was willing to take my hand and walk me through it. You know, so I'm just saying to you, you don't have to be stuck. You don't have to stay in that dark space. You know, there's ways out. You just got to be willing to take it. Okay? All right. Thank you. Can y'all give yourselves a round of applause?
yeah, thank you for coming.
Thank you. Gerard. Can you still got me online? It's over. Bye, everybody.
Bye. Right.
Thank you.